Okay, we did it. We made it through our first year as a full-time potter. I did 13 shows this year, which was a lot. And today I'm going to recap on how last year I quit my job as a nurse and became a full-time potter. Just as a little backstory, I was a NICU nurse for 11 years or so, and an adult nurse for like 6 months. But the whole time I was on night shift, and it really messes with your body. Also, I have 3 little kids, so I try to be home as much as I can with them, and we don't have any daycare or family members to take care of them, take them to and from school, and my husband's an outside sales rep, so he's gone a lot. So it was very important that I was able to be home to drive them to and from school and take care of them when they were little. So I always worked the night shift, obviously in a hospital, so it's 12 and a half hours. And I only worked on weekends. So the last 5 years of my nursing career, I was what they called per diem. So I worked every other Friday and Saturday night shift. So 7 o'clock in the evening to 7:30 in the morning, come home, sleep, do the same thing the next day, and then flip to then take my kids to school on Monday. So I made my last year in nursing, I took home about $17,000. And so that was my goal when I quit, to make $17,000 selling pottery, and I did it. I actually made more than $17,000. My total sales for the year were $25,146.40. And that was total sales. So just in my shows, I made about $21,700. So I did some online sales at the beginning of the year, and I also sell some like 3D printed pottery tools. But the rest of it was all in person. Now, the hard part to kind of put your mind in a different perspective is when you run a small business, you want your expenses to be on the higher side. You want so that your taxable income is kind of smaller. So basically, you pay taxes on your profit. So if you can make it so your profit is smaller, then you don't have to pay as much taxes. Now, I think the tax bracket we're in is going to be like 20 to 30% of our income. So I've put aside 30% just to be safe, as well as my 6% sales tax that I have to pay in Michigan. So I collect the sales tax from my Square. Reader automatically puts it in there. So I've got all that put aside that I pay at the end of the year. And then once tax season comes around, then I pay my income taxes. So my total expenses for the year were $14,925. Now, I went online and I talked to a bunch of people about things that I could write off. So those write-offs are what makes your level of expenses kind of equal out to your income. So things that I didn't realize that maybe you don't realize either that you can write off if you have a small business is your phone. You're on your phone for promoting your business on social media, or you have a website, or you're using your phone for your Square app. So your Square app, you can charge people right on your phone, or you can have a card reader. So right there is a huge business expense. I think when we looked, it's I think mine is about $60 a month. And the other thing that I didn't realize was I can write off my whole internet bill too. Because I am constantly updating my website and working from home. So that was one that I didn't realize, and that's expensive too. I can't remember exactly the number, but that's something that I hadn't written off in the past. And then you want to track your car mileage, so one thing I didn't realize on the car thing was if you're just starting a business and you're using an older car to run your business, you're going to your shows, right? You're using your car for your business. You can, from the start, write off every single thing you have to do to your car. So that could be oil changes. I needed a new timing belt this year, tires, literally like one of our doors broke in our van. We could have written that off if we chose to pay $1,500 to fix it. Or you can write off your mileage and they pay you 60 cents-ish per mile that you drive. And I actually drove a lot of miles this year. It was a total of 2,800 miles. So I don't know which one would be more beneficial if I knew this ahead of time, knew I would need things done to my car. I don't know. Anyway, so I started with the mileage, so you have to stay with the mileage. So that's something. If you're starting out, look into if you should write off your expenses for your car based on what you need fixed, like your upkeep of your car and your gas, or if you should just go straight for the mileage. Because I'm not really sure on that one. It's obviously way more work to track all your expenses and things that you put into your car, but it might be worth it. So I want to share with you some of the ways that I keep track of my business. I have an Apple computer, and so I use numbers, which is very similar to Excel. So I've created these Excel spreadsheets, and I am putting these on my website. I have 3 different spreadsheets that I use to track all of the things for my business. This one is like a monthly summary, so I can put aside the money that I need for income tax that I am expected to pay, as well as sales tax, and it kind of just totals everything for you at the bottom of the column and then tells you based on 30%, always go a little higher than you think you're going to need, how much you think you will probably have to pay. And this calculates throughout the year. So even if you're in March, it'll still tell you what your estimate is total at the bottom. So I hope that you can get this and all of those calculations that I put in will work for you. I have made a numbers one and I also made an Excel one. So hopefully those will work. If you need it in a different format, let me know and I'll see what I can do. I'm not super tech savvy, so hopefully it works. But anyway, it will tell you your total sales, the sales tax you've collected, and then it will subtract those along with total expenses to show you your net income. So my net income was about $8,700, which would be my taxable income. So I'm going to have to pay about $3,000 in income tax at the end of the year. And then the other thing I do is I make a spreadsheet that tracks all my sales, where they go to, the date I did them on, how much did it cost, and then who purchased it. If it's like a web sale, it'll tell you that. And then just for my own mind, I always track what they bought. So then I can go through and look at I sold a lot of mommy pots back in February, March, and then it changed to fourth wing mugs. And then this also has a mileage tracker so that you can track if you've dropped stuff off to customers around your area or your shows. So I also track on here how much I made from Venmo and Square for, say, the West Michigan Potters Guild show, and then how long or how far away it was. And then at the end of the year, I can go through and total those up. So I do that for every single sale I make. Every dollar that I have goes onto the spreadsheet. That way it's there if I need it. And then the same thing on this very same spreadsheet that I loaded onto my website for you has sales, expenses, and if you're a potter, I put kiln usage on there as well. My kiln tells me how much it costs, and I know you can program that on there on some kilns. So that's a good thing to track because you can write off that expense as well. So this shows your expenses or where you're being charged, the date, how much, and then I left a space for what you paid with if you need to keep track of that. And then that also has a mileage tracker as well because Like I go to Pottery Lane and I write the miles off for that. I go to West Michigan Clay and I write the miles off for that. So then you can go down that and track your miles that way as well. And then at the end, I have a lot of pages. At the end of this is the kiln. Here we go. This one got messed up when I printed it for some reason, but it tells you what day you ran your kiln, the type of glaze load or bisque load or whatever you want to track, and then the cost. Yeah, for some reason that one did not print well. Oh, but like this one did. This one looks better. So like there's my kiln information. So my total electricity bill for my kiln for the whole year should have been about $339.17. So that's important to write off as well. And then the last spreadsheet that I use that I think I started doing this kind of, definitely wasn't at the beginning of the year, but I just printed it out and cut it because it had so many columns. So I made this, I called it my art show tracker. So dates of the show, the name of the show, where the show was located, how far you had to travel to go to that show, the length of the show, the cost to get into the show, which was a lot. Like I paid $3,400, almost $3,500 just to get into the shows. And like sometimes I had to pay $50 just to apply for shows. So that kind of sucked. So this is the amount of money I made from each show so that I could then go back at the end of the year and say, this one was great. I think this one was great. And then you look, yep, that one was great. That one sucked. Like, so you know, now we have to apply again in January. So we got to know which ones were good and which ones were bad. And then just for my own, mind, I wrote down, if I could remember, what sold the best at those shows, which was actually interesting. Like most shows was mugs. Like mugs were probably my biggest seller, but then there was like some shows where only the Care Bears sold, but then the next show I didn't sell a single Care Bear. So this could help to like remind you. I did not fill out the fun factor, but there were shows that were more fun than the others. And then if it was super hot, like I will not be doing this show again because it was the hottest day in the whole world. Did I need lodging? No, for all of them except for one. But we made that kind of into a family vacation. And then would at the time, so it's very important that you fill this out like as you go, because at the time I didn't think I would apply for this show again, but like maybe I would now that I know that my daily average income for a show is like $900, and I was pretty close to that for a one-day show. So like maybe I would go back and think about why I answered no to that question. And then there's another section for notes. So like maybe if you answered no, you write because it was a really short setup time. So it wouldn't be that bad if you had a friend helping you or whatever. Sorry, focus, there we go. So I found this to be very helpful. I'm pretty forgetful, especially when you're, setting up, running your show for 3 days at a time. And if it's really busy and you don't get a chance to like sit down and look at stuff, it's good to think back and then at the end of the year say, those are the shows I will and will not do. And if you are in Michigan, we can talk about which shows I will and will not do. Okay, so I went through and I took 3 or 4 hours yesterday to make sure all my numbers were good, went through, looked back at everything so that I could think about what I'm going to do for this coming year and let you guys know as well. So the best shows for me were the West Michigan Potters Guild show, which I honestly I didn't think it was going to be so crazy. But the first one, the spring one, it was really great. The spring show was it was a one-day show, and I made $2,078. And I think I did a video on that one to begin with. But yeah, for a one-day show, that's awesome. I figured out that I did 22 days of shows total. So some shows were 1 day, some shows were 2 days, some shows were 3 days. So 22 full days of shows, which would be my average day, would be $986.90 per day. So that helps me next year kind of compare. If I'm at a one-day show and my average this past year was $986, then you know you're on track, above or below or whatever, and then you can make a note of that, right? So like we're always comparing the numbers and figuring out how we can grow as a business. So best shows were my guild shows. Kalamazoo was great. So it's like the KIA Fine Arts in Kalamazoo is a 2-day show. That one was great. And we had a lot of fun. There's food trucks. And then there's like a whole nother show around the corner that you can go check out. There's so many restaurants. The Pride Parade was going on. Like it was just, that one was really fun. And then the other one that I love that I did really great at last year was the Downtown Market in Grand Rapids. Up in their greenhouse, they have an all ceramic show, and this year was almost equally as good. I actually got a double booth at that one, and I think that was a great idea because there were so many people. And it just kind of like allowed them to fit into your booth a little bit easier. So that one was great as well. Kalamazoo, if you're interested, I made $3,022 in 2 days. And then the Downtown Market, last year I think I made $3,600. This year I made $2,893. So a little bit less, but from what I've talked to people this year, average was a little bit less in general. So still great. And that one was indoor, so it was nice and warm. It was a little bit earlier this year than last year also, so it was colder outside. People maybe didn't want to be inside for the ceramic show. Who knows? Anyway, the worst show. The worst show I did was the Farm Girl Flea, which was just this last show that I did. That was in Allendale in the Country Basket. They had over 10,000 people come through, but there were over 250 vendors, and most of them were like the flea side of the thing. So there were people buying and selling things, or collectors, and then they make it look nice. And honestly, I shopped more than I sold. I only made $233 over 2 days. So I definitely won't be doing that next year. People are not looking to spend $40 on a mug when they can get an antique one for $5. So we've learned a lesson there. The other ones that were not great that I probably won't be doing again next year was John Ball Zoo, which I absolutely love Merchants and Makers. Shile, who runs it, is like the best person in the entire world. If you do Merchants and Makers, just make sure you say hi to her because she's an amazing person. But I only made $500 at that show. So I won't do it because it just didn't bring the right people, I think. And then I went up to Charlevoix for 3 days for their Apple Festival, which was my kids' favorite show. My kids came to most of my shows with my husband, and this was my 10-year-old's very favorite show, but not because of the show, because he got to go to a water park. So anyway, we'll probably just make that one into a family trip next year up to Charlevoix, but over 3 days, I only made $1,000. So it was really, and it was cold. That one was in October, the October 10th through the 13th, and it was cold and not worth it. Also, they put our booths on a hill, so the whole back of my booth, I couldn't even put my back table out, as well as I paid for a corner booth that they didn't give me. So I'm not going to do that again. And then lastly, I've talked about West Bloomfield before during one of my kiln opening videos, but there was a really rude lady who ran it. It also cost $450 to be in and $35 to apply. And it was so hot. It was in July 26th and 27th. And it was like we were melting. My best friend's mom and my best friend were there helping me, and her mom literally had to sit down because she was going to pass out when we were packing up. It was so hot. There weren't a lot of shoppers, and if the shoppers were there, they were older people who just admittedly like were just there to look. They didn't want to buy things because they didn't have space for more things. So we will not be doing that one again next year. But I do have a list of ones that other artists have told me are good, like Funky Ferndale and Beats and Eats or something like that on the east side. So I'll probably apply for those. And I applied for 14 shows. The one I didn't get into, I got waitlisted for, was Birmingham. And then like the week of the show, they said they had a space for me, but I had already filled that with another show. So I'll try to get into Birmingham this year for sure. And then Arts, Eats, and Beats, Funky Ferndale, DIY Ferndale was the other one, and I think the two Ferndale ones are ran by the same person. And then I can't remember. I have a whole list of ones I'm going to look into, but my plan for next year is to do less shows. So I felt like I was rushing, and I didn't really make things that I wanted to make. I just made things that I knew would sell. So that kind of defeated the purpose of like doing what I wanted. Like, yes, I want to make money, but also I want to have time to make things that I really want to make. So next year, 2026, I'm going to try to do one show a month, and I'm going to bring my best stuff. Like this year, sometimes I just like threw on some glaze because I needed to fill my shelves. The other thing that I learned over this past year, I started out with my mugs being $35, $38, and $40 for like a small, medium, and large mug. And I would always sell out mugs. And you know how, if you're a potter, you know how long mugs take to make. So I have started just doing $40 and $45. And then if I have a really fancy mug that took me a long time, like I did some, like I guess I call them applique. I'll go get one. I'll be right back. So a mug like this that has a raised something on it that took extra time to like make this, and then I painted it and then I glazed it. This would be a $50 mug, and that's the highest priced mug I have at the moment. That might change next year. There's a couple accounts I follow on Instagram, and they have mugs that are not much more fancy than this type of mug that they sell for $180 to $250 per mug. So I'm like, if I'm selling out of mugs, then I can probably afford to go up in price just a little bit. But the plan for the beginning of the year is going to be 40, 45, and 50 for like size and detail, essentially. And we'll see what the sales looks like with those higher priced mugs. Because I also do have some lower priced things like my pins and magnets, and then the little vases are still 15 and 20. So if you want to grab something, there are things that can be grabbed for a smaller price. But I think that's kind of the hardest part, is to figure out where that sweet spot is, where you can make the most bang for your buck and also people will still buy it. What else? Just a quick note that I made to myself. If you are planning on downloading my spreadsheets, if you head to mugworts.store, it should be in like the very top when you just click on shop on the little button at the top. It should be the first ones because they are the newest. If they're not there for whatever reason, you can go on the side and it should say free downloads or digital downloads or something like that. And then put it in your basket and then check out like normal, and it should be $0, and then it will send you a link to your email, and all you have to do is click on the link to the email. It'll bring you to back to the internet, and then you just click download and it should download. Make sure you do get Excel or numbers based on what kind of computer you have. If that doesn't work for you, I can try and send out an email with the link. Like I said before, I'm not very tech savvy, but I'll try to figure it out. So join the email list on mugworts.store, and I'll try to send out a link in that too, because this stuff is very useful, especially if you don't have anything set up already. It's kind of ready to go. And then, yeah, I think I pretty much went over everything. I looked on my Square. Square is nice because it tells you like how many large mugs you sold through the year. You can change it. You can change the settings to like pick the days you want. You can look at the month. You can look at the week. But I went through and clicked on this past previous year, and Square collected a total of $19,142.81. The thing that sucks about them is that they do take fees. So my total fees for the whole year was $566, which just sucks. But they automatically take it out and then they send you the rest. They also automatically add on your sales tax if you have it. Like I know Florida doesn't have sales tax, but Michigan has the 6% sales tax, so I have to pay that at the end of the year. And if you set it up correctly, it will automatically charge the people that 6%, so you don't have to pay that out of your pocket. Like I said before, I have had 22 full days of shows, which averaged $986 per day. And my total price to get into all of my markets, so 13 markets to apply and get accepted into, was $3,466, which actually I averaged that out to. So 22 days at $3,466 is $156 per day. So as long as you know that you're making that back, it's not good, but at least you're covered. At least you're not in the negative, right? Yeah, I think that is it. Oh, the other thing I wanted to show you was if you like organizing via checklists and you like having like a paper, like I have to see it. Otherwise, like I don't want to get more notifications on my phone. I don't want to be entering all the things in my phone all the time. Like calendar notifications are fine. Like sure, you have to go drop something off or ship something out, sure. But if you are a paper kind of person, this is Anecdotes planner, and the beginning of the planner has the calendar, and this is where I keep track of the days that I bisked or glazed fired my stuff, and then I go back through at the end of the month and I put it in the computer. But this way I don't have to get on my computer every single time I glaze something. I can just write it down real quick. And then, so that's month, and then they also have a daily one. So you flip to today, and it has a spot for you to plan out your week. And then it has Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Saturday and Sunday are small. So it's kind of nice. No, they're not small. They're the same. Anyway, you have like, daily times, and then you have like a checklist, which is super nice. I'm a super big checklist person, so this is obviously not a recent one, but like, for example, let me find you a good checklist day. When you have lots of things to do, like this was last. So you gotta do the trees, make the cards, ship the mugs, do the things, and then you can do them by time if you really want to be super organized. But I found that this is the best, the best one. I probably won't be getting anything else except for this because I just love how it's organized. And then in the back it has space for planning and notes. So sometimes if I have a YouTube idea or I want to plan out something, I'll just flip back here. So this is my like go-to thing. So in conclusion, hit subscribe because I will be talking about this more, and throughout the next year we'll compare and contrast year to year and kind of just keep you updated on things that I'm learning about running my own business. Do I think it was worth quitting my job? Yes, I do. I think it can probably only go up from here now that I know what to do and what not to do. I am hopefully going to be selling more online, so join the email list because I will be doing more online drops, and I will be letting my email people know ahead of time more than like my YouTube people, or join me on Patreon because I will drop hints on there as well. What else? Yeah, sign up for the sales and expense tracker, the Kiln Usage, and my show tracker, and then your monthly tax calculator. All of that is free. I'll put it on there so you guys can download those, and then let me know what else you would like to see. It's like freezing cold outside. I can't run my kiln until it's 34 degrees, so I will probably be posting more painting videos and planning videos. I'm gonna do some, I wanna do a hobbit house, and then put like a bonsai tree next to it. Obviously I wouldn't be able to fire it at this point, but I could build it and show you how I did that. What else do you wanna see? I'm pretty good at acrylic. I'm gonna try out some oil colors. I can do watercolor. Pretty good painter. I can draw some things. So if you'd like to see those, let me know in the comments, and then maybe once it warms back up, I can put some of those images onto platters and things. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe and like and do all of the things. Thanks. Bye.